Hey guys, welcome to Burning Hits Fantasy Football again for week 3. I'm here with Scott Hinty, and we're going to break down basically what happened last week and then the transactions and then look up to week 3. Hinty's got our records for last week, so why don't you talk about who went right and who went wrong?
So we both got the our matchup wrong. We both picked me, and you won pretty handedly.
Pretty awesome.
And then we both picked Snowball, who actually ended up losing. I was a little shocked by that. But, Derrick Henry going off definitely helps.
Yeah, 44 points. That's pretty good.
I was right on the pick between Stein and Matz.
I was so close.
The fuck it approach, which was really close, but I was correct. And then you got Koozie Beats correct. I thought Tony's non-managerial approach was going to work, but it did not. We both got Lestrange right. And I got Chris Gregg winning, and you got that one wrong because you went with Smart. I was back and forth on that one, so.
Yeah, it's funny. They give out awards in this, and Tony won Best Manager, and Koozie won... Oh, no, Tony won Worst Manager, Koozie won Best, and then it was like a 4-point difference, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And you won Lowest Below Expectation.
Yeah, so congratulations. It was a rough week last week. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do whenever Kittle is just shitting the bed and A.J. Brown dropped like 4 or 5 passes last week.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter he said like his family told him he couldn't even catch COVID if he wanted to. So
yeah.
All right, let's head over to the waiver wire, and what did you kind of see that you thought was an interesting move, a good move, a bad move?
I mean, the big pickup was like the big one everyone went after was Cordell Patterson. I really don't know what to expect out of what he's going to end up being. Like, it's a bad Falcons team, so like they could throw the ball a lot, and he's just a pass catcher for him basically. But I really don't know what to expect out of him. I think the best pickup / most interesting was Koozie picking up Daniel Jones, because I think Daniel Jones is like the number 1 or 2. Like, he's a top 3 quarterback, I think, at this point, because he's had like 2 20-point games. I'm just looking here. It doesn't have his rank on Sleeper right next to him, but yeah, he's just racking up the rushing yards right now.
He's at number 5 right now, and he's going to have a big game against Atlanta, I'm sure, but I expect him to come crashing down to earth. I just think that the Cordell Patterson is hilarious, that all these people put so much money in Cordell Patterson. Like, he has like a couple good games every year, but it's like, come on.
I mean, he does look like the better running back between him and Mike Davis so far.
Yeah, but he's like kind of a running back. Yeah. I thought that you picking up the Panthers defense, I did that in one league. It's a smart move. Whether it lasts... I mean, Panthers have a really easy schedule. I mean, Dallas is going to be tough, but Philly, Minnesota, New York, Atlanta after that, and then New England, like, those aren't amazing offenses. So if they do anything what they did against the last two weeks...
I think their defense actually might be, like, solid, like, better than what I was expecting out of them this year, so...
Yeah, as a Panthers fan, I had high expectations, and they're, like, pretty much meeting that, so let's just hope we can keep it going.
Other than that, I wouldn't say there was too many big transactions. Definitely, I've been putting people on the trade block, and other people have been putting people on the trade block, and I was looking at some rosters. I put a bunch of running backs out there. Koozie has a bunch of running backs on his team, and there are a lot of teams that really need running back.
Yeah, we'll see with whether people... I mean, yeah. We'll see. People are going to start to panic a little bit, I feel like, after week, like, 3 or 4, and that's when stuff you start to get a feel for your team, really. So then people will start to heat up, but, I mean, Koozie pretty much put Henderson, who's kind of hurt. Murray, who knows, and then Kenyon Drake, who's just benefiting from an injury. And then
That's true.
Tyson. Yeah, you guys are both putting the. No one wants the Baltimore running backs. Surprise, surprise.
I mean, I put a bunch of running backs out there who are actually performing really well so far. So, like,
Yeah.
I put Javante out there and I put Tyson out there.
Well, Javante's like kind of underperforming, but he's supposed to perform. It's like a hope.
But he's
so
been
it's
getting
actually
more
like
touches than I expected him to get this early.
Yeah. I mean, 14 and 13, that's good. But okay, let's go to the matchups for this week. Let me find the league. There it is. Let's start from the bottom up, and we're going to go to Lestrange and Greg, who are pretty much supposed to be like straight up even. 2-2-0 teams, man.
I think this actually might be the best matchup like all week. I mean, obviously they both have like some of the best quarterbacks. Running backs look kind of good outside of Robinson. But I mean, I really like both these teams. I love Connor's team. Like I was looking at that earlier and I was like, the only thing I might change on his entire team is his defense. And if that's your only issue, you're looking really well. Like
Yeah, having Tampa Bay is tough against the Rams. That's one of the times where you gotta like think about picking someone up just for that week. Just because you can. I mean, I Tampa Bay last week and they got me 19 points, but you know they could go 2 or like negative even, so that could really screw you in something that's like this close. I'm not really that crazy about the Pittsburgh defense, to be honest. I just feel like people are just like kind of giving Pittsburgh this win against the Bengals, but they haven't really looked that great. So it wouldn't really surprise me if something bad goes down.
Looked pretty good so far.
Yeah, the defense looks
their
good.
Their offenses looked bad, but their defenses looked pretty good. And Cincinnati had a bunch. I think they had like there was a point last week that Burrow threw 3 interceptions in a row.
Oh yeah. That was, but I mean, it looked like they were going to win that game, and then Burrow threw the 3 interceptions, and then he started throwing it downfield. But I mean, that was when the defense was probably already sort of like, just don't lose it. We're up, we're up big time. But it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, they're pretty even, like 2 top like quarterbacks. Each have like a top running back, and then sort of a question mark at the second one. I think Eckler's a little bit safer than Robinson, but I wouldn't say he's like the safest guy in the world. But I mean, it could come down to tight end. Like if Logan Thomas kind of gets shut down, but I'm not sure if Buffalo has been that great recently at covering tight ends. I mean, I know they have Milano at linebacker, and they have like Hyde at safety, but I'm not sure if they're great at covering tight ends. But we'll see what Waller can do, and whether it's going to be just like a 19 target game could be the difference.
I mean, I'm leaning towards Lestrange in this one, because I think whenever you look at the flex, the wide receiver 2, and the running back 2, I just kind of lean all of those to Lestrange, whereas everything else is basically a tie except for tight end.
So. Yeah, and then the Waddle Metcalf is kind of big too. But one thing that does scare me is Aaron Jones versus San Francisco. They just get their ass kicked like every time they play them, so they might not be running much. So I am also going with Lestrange to go 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna go next guy up, which is gonna be Smart versus Nick P. Nick P is still doing okay despite all the injuries.
I mean, they're both 0-2, so.
Yeah, but he's like putting up okay numbers. Like it's not like 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
Surprising. Again, it's like a defense going against Tampa Bay is scary, but what else do you see pops out at you?
I mean, both of these, I think both these teams have their issues, but I don't see how, Nick has done a good job of kind of supplementing his running backs. Like James Conner's not great, but you do have James Conner against Jacksonville, and James White looks like he's going to be back to normal now that he doesn't have a running quarterback. But I still I lean towards Chris's team just because running backs are definitely better. Nixon has just kind of underperformed. I think he had 20 touches last week, and you can't really be upset with that for. Oh my God. Yeah, he had 29 attempts week 1 and 20 attempts week 2. You can't be upset with Nixon right now. I think it's just a matter of eventually he's going to break out and start moving, and I just don't think that at that position he can keep up. And he also has great receivers in Diggs and Hopkins, so.
Yeah, I think the big thing is going to be how healthy is the Pittsburgh defense. Because if Watt's probably out, I think Devin White might be out again. And if that's the case, Mixon could actually be pretty successful. But if they're pretty healthy, they can probably shut down Mixon, and that could sort of even the score between the two teams. Because especially you got that tight end difference when we haven't seen really Kyle Pitts do much of. He's been okay, but who knows really whether he's gonna put up numbers, whereas Kelsey's putting up God numbers.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to be on Chris Smart's side as well. It's just, James Conner against Jacksonville, that's tough. He could have a big game, but he needs a touchdown. And it doesn't seem like they're trying to run the ball in without, but we'll see. It's going to be really close, and it's going to come down to just 1 or 2 matchups, and it's the running backs really.
Yeah.
I am a little worried about Josh Allen. Just really not playing that great. But Washington's defense hasn't really either. So this might be a get right game for one of the two. So we'll see sort of what happens with that. Whether that defensive line can finally be great like they thought they were going to be, or whether Josh Allen finally can sort of settle in.
I'm leaning towards Josh Allen's gonna settle in. I don't think he's not going anywhere near what he was last year, but I think he'll settle in a little bit and look a lot better.
Yeah, if Washington looks like they did Thursday night against Daniel Jones, it's hard to think he's not going to settle in.
Yeah.
All right. Let's head over to the next game, which is the Birds versus Kuzi, an epic rivalry. So he's got Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Going against Atlanta. That's funny. It's crazy he moved on from Winston so quickly. I might pick up Winston because Herbert's not really putting up the numbers, but got an interesting running back. Swift. What do you see pops out in you, and do you think you've got it?
The things that pop out to me are, one, Dalvin Cook going up against that Seattle defense that just got completely destroyed. I don't expect him to put up 3 touchdowns and almost 200 yards, but it's a good matchup for a running back. That's the big one on my end for my team. I think on his team, you got Daniel Jones against Atlanta, which I think Daniel Jones is going to have another great performance with probably 20 plus points, and most of that coming on the ground. 2 things, if I was him, that I'd be a little concerned about are, what is Cooks going to be like without Tyrod there against that Carolina defense? And I'm also just Tunyon is scary to me because he is I feel like you very much need the touchdowns with him, which he's gotten 1 this year and he was good that game, but the other game didn't get the touchdown, no points. So
yeah, a lot of things scare me with Kuzi's team. Tunyon, keep going.
I just pulled up Tunyon's stats, and he has 5 receptions on the season for a total of 60 yards in 2 games.
Yeah.
The big thing for him is that touchdown. So
it feels like a lot of times he gets these short yardage go-to design plays to him for a touchdown, and that's sort of like his bread and butter. If it's not there, it's not there. And that San Francisco, it's gonna be scary. Elijah Mitchell kind of scares me too. I mean, he's like questionable. He kind of got banged up last week. He didn't do great against Philly. Sure, he did well against Detroit, but that's Detroit. I don't think Green Bay is a good defense, but I mean, if he gets hurt, they go to the next guy. San Francisco running backs. I mean, it's something's wrong with that training staff. I'm also worried about the Cleveland defense for Chicago. And they could have a really big game, but a lot of times with like rookie quarterbacks when they're starting, especially running quarterbacks, can like tear you up, and
Mhm.
it could be like a kind of big difference. You could see Carolina go like 13 points and then 3 points for Cleveland. It's a 10-point swing, and then you got Tunyon, Cooks, and Mitchell, who are all kind of question marks. It's just like a lot to risk. Um, I'm not like as high on Dalvin Cook for Seattle because I feel like Seattle bottled up Derrick Henry pretty well that first half, and we'll see whether they can keep it together against Minnesota, which is I think not as good as Tennessee's offense. But I mean, Barkley's another question mark. Like, I'm not sure if it's just him or whether the Jason Garrett's just not great. I mean, it's crazy that he only gets 3 targets a game receiving. I
Yeah.
mean, they treat him like he's just like Ezekiel Elliott, and it's like, come on.
See, I think that problem. I don't think that is a Garrett problem. I think that is a Daniel Jones problem.
Could be that. I mean, I keep seeing them do the read options, which is fine, but it's like you need to get this guy out of space. Like, do what they do with like Christian McCaffrey because that's much more.
Yeah.
He's not Derrick Henry or Zeke Elliott. He's sort of just like an athlete. So I am pushing towards your way. I mean, it could be a big game for against Indianapolis for Tennessee in that stack, and there's just really like not Cleveland's defense doesn't look amazing versus. I mean, David Montgomery could go big, Kittle could go big. You know, there's a lot of like matchups are sort of pointing your way, and then the injury with Elijah Mitchell also kind of scares me. So like, I could definitely see Kuzi winning, but I think like the odds are in your favor to pull up the upset.
All right. Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to stop picking myself, and I'm going to pick Kuzi's team. And my big thing is I think he's got me at quarterback. I'm not as concerned as on the Cleveland defense. I think they'll get a few turnovers, which will kind of keep them pretty solid through the day. I also like Elijah Mitchell and Keenan Allen against Kansas City. I think that he has enough people on his team that he's going to look really good. And I think my team has a chance, but I'm I'm tilting on my team right now because I'm 0-2. So
Yeah, it's early though. Early, but this is a big game. Hard to fall behind and go on three. So
but
let's go.
I'm gonna go with Kuzi because I think that I'm not sold on my team, and I think he has a lot of pieces that are holding his team together.
All right. So let's head over to Snowball and Stein. We've got Snowball as like a decent favorite, but there are some potentials for some big games out of Stein's team.
Yes.
So what strikes you from the game?
Um, for Stein, I would say the big things that strike me is you got Harris, who hasn't looked great this year, but they are playing Cincinnati, so I think he'll kind of get some passing work going. And then Devonta Smith, like I think he's just going to go off against Dallas. Like Dallas hasn't been able to cover much. I know they did better against the Chargers than they did Week 1 against Tampa, but I think Smith is going to have a big game. And I mean, those are my big ones. Also, Hawkinson has been fantastic this year.
He has. It's pretty nuts. Yeah, I mean, I really do like Stein's team. I mean, Lamar Jackson versus Detroit, just he could go. They say I'm at 24, but if he went 32 against Kansas City, he could go wild. And then Herbert, I've had Herbert, and he's just not putting up points. He's playing well, but he's not putting up points, and I'm not sure. I feel like Kansas City could be a shootout, but I remember the first game they had was like 20 to. It was like something really low scoring. So it wouldn't really surprise me if he's low. And I could see like a big early game, like where Carolina gets in the lead in the first half, and then they're like, "Well, we've given CMC 30 touches each game the last 2 games. Let's sort of let him chill on a short week." I feel like the matchups again sort of go for Stein's way. And Harris, I'm not like it's just that Pittsburgh running game really can't seem to get
Yeah.
going. They looked like a little bit better, but then one of their better linemen got like ejected for spitting on a player, Trey Turner. So it's kind of interesting. But you know, with Gainwell sort of like coming in, sort of stealing some of Sanders' stuff, especially last week. Um, Everything sort of like looks good. The only really bad matchup I feel like is Ridley, because he's going against Bradbury, who's just generally been really good against those receivers, and he has experience in the NFC South. And then you got Allen Robinson on the other side, though, that like, it's a rookie quarterback. Yes, Allen Robinson always gets his, it seems, but like he's struggling a little bit more this year because I mean, at some point, the QB plays gotta affect
Gotta
you.
catch up.
Yeah. So I could see like that sort of negating out the Ridley, and then basically, I mean, Stein sort of winning most matchups or keeping even because I mean, Jamar Chase has been insane, and CeeDee Lamb has been really good, but they could even out, and there's no like huge like this team is definitely like gonna win or sorry, but Indianapolis, that's like the one thing I'm looking at that kind of scares me because if they don't have Wentz, they're gonna get destroyed.
Yeah.
So that could be a big swing for them because Buffalo's defense has looked pretty great. 22 points against Miami. I know it's Brissett, but if they're going to get another backup, you know,
Yeah.
could go that same way. So I take it. Is there anything on the bench that you see that like strikes out to you?
Um,
Not a whole lot for me, but
the big thing for me is I think Snowball has I think Rondell Moore is going to absolutely continue to just do what he's been doing and getting those plays. I mean, he's been getting like targeted every single time he's out on the field. Like his
his
like
stats are.
I don't know the number off the top of my head, but his like percentage of like targets to routes run is extraordinarily high. And I think having that, if he, I'm not sure if you put him in this week because I don't see how you bench CeeDee Lamb. It's hard to bench Allen Robinson at this point. And I do like Juju this week because if Deontay's out, Juju's going to be the PPR guy.
Yeah, I think it's be like waiting till the last second to sort of see. I'm not crazy about Schuster. I wouldn't mind him dropping him for more, but I also like wait to see what's happening with Will Fuller. Eventually maybe not. They got Brissett right,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say I don't see how you start any. I don't see how anyone can start any Miami receivers this week with Brissett in there.
well, Brissett's got the big arm, and they're going against Las Vegas. I mean, maybe, but yeah, that's too much of a risk. So I take it we're both on Stein's side.
I'm actually gonna stick with
Oh,
Steven's team.
okay.
I saw a lot of your points. I do think that it's going to be like extremely close. I think Stein might. I think this might be the matchup that says it's the closest matchup of the week. But I don't. I just CMC against Houston like that. Just to me, that screams 30-point game,
Possible.
and like it's hard whenever you have a player put up that type of points to keep up with them.
All right. Um, I gotta run soon, so we gotta run through these next two real quick. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. So we got Rob Matz versus Herrera, and Rob Matz has been a little bit. He got so close,
Yeah.
but a little bit of a mess, and now he's going through Herrera, who's got a team that's pretty hot. So
Yeah.
what do you what strikes you?
Um, I mean, I think this one's pretty plain and simple. It's going to be Herrera who wins this one. Rob Matz really needs to go out and find some type of wide receiver or some type of talent on his team that he can put on his team, because he needs to have a team where Ronald Jones cannot be in the lineup at this point. And like, I understand your backups at this point are also Hines and Gainwell, but you need to go out and acquire someone else for that. And your receivers are pretty good. Like, you have Evans, who's gotten a decent amount of targets. You have Julio, who's gotten a decent amount, who's looked really good this year. You also shouldn't be playing two tight ends. Like, a tight end should not be in your flex. Like, he should be putting Juwan Johnson on the bench for literally almost any wide receiver on his bench. Like, Marvin Jones has looked fantastic so far. You got Odell coming back, which is a giant question mark, and I'm scared about that one. But Landry's out, and Marquise Brown has looked fantastic so far this year. Like, either one of those receivers, like any of those three receivers, I would put in there over Juwan Johnson. I'd probably go with Marquise Brown or Jones first, but you gotta trade. You probably need to trade one of your receivers on your team to go out and grab a running back, because Zeke hasn't looked as good as he should, and Jones has just looked awful.
Yeah, if I'm him, I'm looking to ship Jones if I can, and then hope Odell has a big game right when he comes down. Maybe try to trade him for someone, but I think he's got to swap Hines with Jones, because Jones just is not doing anything. At least Hines has had like one good game, and now he's going to have potentially a backup that's going to just dump it off. But like, never have two tight ends, like pretty much ever. Like, really rare that's ever going to work out. Juwan Johnson
Definitely not.
is like a no name. We know it from Penn State, but yeah, it's an easy swap. There's really not. I don't have a lot of confidence in Rob Matz's team this week. I don't think the Evans connection is going to strike 2 weeks in a row. Maybe I'm wrong, but they had a really big game, and they're going against the Rams now, which is a really tough defense. So, I mean, I don't really see a lot of things going Rob's way. Even
Contender
defense.
for least points this week.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. We're going to go to May, which I have a very close game with Antonio Beato. So what strikes you in this game?
I would say the big things are his receivers have looked fantastic this year. I mean, just honestly, if you just go down, you have Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, and then I know he's not a receiver, but just like that line of three right there: Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, and Gronk. Like,
Yeah, Gronk's the number one tight end.
Did you see his quote?
What
film?
That's definitely fake, dude. I don't believe that for a fucking second.
It's just a great quote, though.
Yeah. Still. Do not believe that for a second. From what I've heard from like the Patriots and like Belichick about him, like I do not believe that.
Yeah.
Funny though. Yeah, he knows how to work on TV, so he'll be interesting at some point. Because I remember he was on CBS for like 1 week. That was fun to watch. But
how are you feeling about Alvin Kamara after last week?
I'm not really that worried. I think that like they had a horrible game plan where they thought they could just run it down Carolina's throat, and that wasn't going to happen. New England's like not a bad defense either, but I don't think they're as strong on the defensive line as the Carolina Panthers are. I mean, they've got better, they've got Hightower, but I think they'll figure it out. I'm not sure if he's going to have a big game, but like I expect 10 points at least. I don't know about 19 or anything like that. But I'm expecting production. I feel like I'm comfortable matching him up against Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I think you're good with that one. I think you're good at the running back position. I think you're going to win running backs. I think he's going to win wide receivers and tight end. Flex is a toss-up. Kickers and defenses will be about the same. And quarterback,
I'm not sure who I'm starting yet. I might start Fields, actually.
I was going to say, if I was you, I think I would start Fields.
Like, I just feel like I need that edge because, like, man, if Gronk scores another, like, 2 touchdowns, it's just like, I don't think it's going to happen against the Rams. But Cooper's could have a big game. That's just as scary. And Taylor's probably going to get a lot of touches if Wentz isn't healthy. there's a lot of things that could be like tough. Blankenship could have a lot of field goals because they don't have Wentz. They're just kicking field goals the whole game. Um, and then the defense, I don't really think goes my way. Yeah, yes, Winston could throw picks, but like I don't think Payne's gonna keep him in if he's throwing 4 picks. Um,
I mean, I think that's a big problem with Winston, and I think even if you take him out, I just don't see. I don't see New Orleans scoring a lot this week.
yeah, and I could see Denver just killing the
I could
Jets.
see Denver getting a touchdown and a couple turnovers,
Yeah,
so
it's in
I can see
Denver.
where you're at there. But I mean, New England can do that also. Like,
Yeah, whether it's a fumble or even Taysom Hill could turn the ball over, so it's not really like crazy to me. I was thinking about. I mean, we'll see what happens with Deontay Johnson. I'm still like, part of me wants to wait on Sutton, but he had such
I
a big
think
game. I
I
might
think
put
you're
him
good
in.
with Sutton. Like I think he's going to be the main target there in Denver now that Judy's gone.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
12 and 9 target
yeah.
receptions is pretty nuts. Um,
So I think you're going to be good there. I think Sutton's going to be back to what he was. Um, I think the big question for you is like who you end up playing at quarterback. I think Baker you're safer with, but I mean, his team easily could just completely go off, and then you'll be in trouble.
yeah,
Um,
let's go big or go home time.
yeah, and Justin Fields, he could go out there and put up like a 10-point game, and you'll be extremely upset with that. But I mean, I don't see that. I mean, he had 10 carries the first week that he was out there. Um, it was only for 31 yards, but it was his first game. He didn't come in like prepped to be the starter that week. They probably had him doing Matt Nagy's a bit of an idiot and probably just had him running like specific plays. But I think Fields can come out here against Cleveland and put up a pretty big game.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the waiver wire. I might think about Bridgewater or Carr. Interesting.
I,
Lot of stuff
Now
to
that you
think
say
about.
that, I might go with one of them over Fields because Cars looked fantastic and so is Bridgewater.
Yeah, and I'll probably just drop Mayfield to be honest, and just keep Field, see if he does become somehow a spark. Um,
I
so
mean, I
who?
would say if you go with Carr or either one of those quarterbacks, I'm going to go with you. Um, so I'm just going to go with you because I'm expecting you to make one of those moves.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with myself. I'm gonna give confidence in myself, but I'm not super confident going against Tony's team. But we'll see. It's gonna be close. Look at this projection between less than a point.